And there's something about the way your love shines on my face. Oh no, I can never get enough of you. This feeling can't be wrong. I'm about to get my worship on. I'm gonna sing a brand new song. Yeah, I'm about to get my worship on. Take me away on this beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Such a beautiful day.
Hello and thank you for joining me. It is a great day to be alive. And I'm so excited because in this season, I do believe that God is answering, He's moving, but more importantly, He's shifting and He's asking the question, will you trust me even when you can't trace me? Sometimes God will tell us something to do and then we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to plunder in our mind. And ladies, those that are watching me, we want to know the what, the how, and the why. But it all starts on the inside with you. It's time for a change. The seasons are changing. The fall is about to set in. So it's time for a change. And my guest on today, Dr. Kendrick Bailey, my frat is back in the house again. And I'm so excited. I can't even explain how excited I am because he's written this phenomenal book, A Journey to Healthy Relationships. So if you will, put your hands together and join me in welcoming. Welcome back, Dr. Bailey. I got to touch you because you blew this one out the water.
Thank you for having me. It's definitely a pleasure to be back, and definitely glad that I can bring something for you to try to take a look at and to help other people with self development
Right.
and their version of to being the best version of themselves.
I think so many times when you think of change, people get a little eerie and irritated because we have to start from the inside. You have to start with you. So I have to ask this question. How did you publish this phenomenal, I'm going to call it #1 bestseller, New York Times? I see it. I see it.
Well, we hope it gets there.
It's going to. Okay, God. We're going to put it right here and we're going to believe God with you. But where did it start? Because you had to start with you as well, right?
Yeah. I think I had to take inventory of myself and my development in relationships. And so I look back, at when I was young and developing, I looked at myself as someone that was, poor in my, reactions and interactions in relationships. Not connecting with people and not wanting to, go below the surface.
Right.
And so I think the Lord directed me into, writing this journal to help other people, get to that point where they start with self first.
Yeah.
And then once they heal self and once they know it's important to have an intimate relationship with self, but an intimate relationship with God, and then it kind of helps your relationship with other people.
Did something happen that make you say, you know what, there has to be more? I can't live like this anymore. Something is wrong with me. What's going on? Was it the mindset? What was it, something in your career, or just that drive and passion to say, you know what, I have to get here to be able to help somebody else? What was that driving force for you?
For me, I always knew I had the ability to help people,
Mhm.
but one of the things that I wasn't doing, I wasn't letting the Lord lead me in the ways that I needed to be led.
Yeah.
And so I started to write, and I actually got the idea from one of my good friends, Terrence Johnson. He was like, "You got a lot of information to put out. You need to put this information out."
That's
And
amazing.
so that's how I started writing, this journal about helping people heal.
That's amazing that, and I'm going to say this because sometimes when people tell us something, we kind of, shake it off like, no, I can't do that. I don't see myself doing that. But he was very instrumental in kind of pushing you to say, let's
Yeah.
get it done.
Yeah.
Let's get it done. Would you say that?
Oh yeah, he kind of nudged me along. He's like, this is something that you need to put out, and so I did it, and it actually took me about 3 to 4 weeks to write the journal, and then I just kind of did some reflection on, kind of making it the work that I thought it needed to be.
Wow, 3 to 4 weeks. That's when you know that God has really just poured the oil on you and it just flows,
Yeah.
And not only are you connected to God, you have that intimate relationship, but you are Dr. Bailey now. Tell us some of the, credentials of, because you're a mental health therapist, you're a
Yes.
counselor. Tell those that are watching, because I want them to be able, when we get into
Okay.
it's like, well, what gives him, the right to say this? Because signed, sealed, and delivered. You've done the work. You've
Yeah.
put in the work. So tell us a little bit
Okay.
about your background.
And so I have my background in counseling. So I got my master's in counseling from Mississippi State, and then I got my doctorate in professional counseling from Mississippi College. And I primarily focus a lot on trauma, helping people heal, depression, anxiety, and so relationships was something that was somewhat foreign to me in the context of writing books and just primarily focusing with their work.
Right.
And so that's why I believe, it was definitely given to me, by God to put this out there. And so it's different in the concept is I'm not telling people, hey, this is how you solve your problems in relationships. I'm helping them uncover areas in their life that they need to address and heal and forgive, and that drives them to discovering
Yeah.
how to go about going in relationships, whether it's with self or anyone else.
Oh, wow. What's the number one thing when clients come in, they sit down and they talk to you and they're pouring their heart out? What's the number one thing that you sit and you say to them? Are you encouraging them? Are you
Mhm.
saying, hey, let's start with self first? What's going on with you? What's the first thing that you tell your clients?
I have to look at how they view themselves,
Mhm.
and then I look at their communication, and then I look at if they're having fun in relationships. A lot of time when we're dating or we're being involved in relationships, we focus on getting the task done as far as securing the mate, and sometimes we lose sight and focus
Right.
on enjoying each other and
Mhm.
just having fun with the plain things as far as just having conversations and
Right.
connecting with what we actually enjoy about each other
Mhm.
instead of what society says.
And with that being said, in today's society, everything is fast paced.
Mhm.
It's text instead of just having verbal
Yes.
communication. There's no dating. It's a lot of FaceTiming, chatting and those kind of things. What are your thoughts in regards to that in building healthy relationships? Because I'm a talker.
Yeah.
I love to talk and I love to have fun. And I'm sure we can talk about this as well. Love languages, quality time. You have
Yes.
to be able to, in any relationship or friendship, there has to be some quality time.
Yeah.
Correct? What's
You,
what's
you,
your thoughts on
you
that?
definitely have to have it. I tell people that dating is that time where you get to know one another.
Right.
There's no strings attached with dating. Dating is that time that you set aside to get to know the ins and out of one another, and it doesn't have any type of commitment or anything
Mm-hmm.
attached to it. Is I'm evaluating, whether I want to take this dating to the next step, and the
Right.
next step is actually, getting into a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting to know someone and letting them be okay with seeing your vulnerable sides is what's important.
Wow. And I'm listening to you and I say there has to be some military in your background somewhere, right? Because I can tell my dad did 39 years in the military. It has to be.
Yeah, I'm a major in the military. I feel it's logistics. So
Yeah.
I am a logistics officer. I have 20 years of service, and so that shaped, some of the reason or rationale why I wrote the book. Because
Mm-hmm.
in the military, there is a high, divorce rate, or individuals do struggle a lot with self and relationships.
Yeah. Why do you think that's so?
So being away from family a lot of the time is one of the things, but not having a solid foundation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you definitely have to have balanced roles within relationships. Sometimes, one may be required to do more than the other, but we have to, be willing to be partners in relationship instead of, trying to dictate, everything that happens. And
Right.
so if you join each other in relationships, you're typically going to have more fun versus you just kind of giving orders.
Right, right. That's amazing that you say that because I know in your book you talk about the five components of a healthy relationship, and communication
Mhm.
is what number one, I believe. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, communication is definitely important. I talk about humor, and I talk about the important, having, passion in your relationships or in your
Mm-hmm.
interactions.
Right.
And so by focusing on the five components and really getting deep into them, you actually have a solid foundation, and you get below the
Mm-hmm.
surface and you actually start deep, intimate relationships.
Right. So humor, you have to be able to relax, unwind, and have fun.
Yes,
Correct?
it got to be.
So I have to ask this question. Sometimes people get in relationships and they change. They
Yes.
totally change. I mean, you don't even recognize them. It's like you're not the same person that I've known before. So if there's a dictator in
Mhm.
the relationship, um, and you see yourself diminishing,
Yes.
and that happens, your self-esteem, goes down, you feel
Mhm.
less of a person. Is it okay to pull away? Is it okay to say this is not working for me?
Yeah, you definitely. It's important to pull away and find yourself. Because like I said, if a relationship isn't working, you definitely don't want to spend, you know, give a lot of time to something that takes away from your substance.
Right.
So if something's drowning you or something's pulling away, and you end up becoming the worst version of yourself,
Right.
then that relationship isn't beneficial for you.
Right.
And so you got to heal self in order to get back to to what's right for you.
All right, ladies, I have to pause right here. This is what I call a woman of wisdom moment. How do you know, even if it's in friendship or relationships, How do you know if you need to pull away or just take some time off? I often say this, Dr. Bailey. How do you feel when you are around them? As women, sometimes we have those are my great girlfriends, but when you leave their circle, you're drained, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel? Number one, evaluate how do you feel? Do you feel uplifted? Do you feel encouraged? When you get a promotion and nobody's celebrating you, the room gets really quiet. Pay attention to those. Those are some little nuggets because you need to surround yourself with people that celebrate with you. You know, your friend is it Terrence?
Yes.
He celebrated. He saw something. He said, "Let's get this book done." So, how important is it to have that circle around you? One that's encouraging and empowering. How important is that when you're in relationships?
You definitely have to have some people that believe in you, and you got to have people that's at a level that you're on, but also people pulling you up to the level that you're trying to go to. And because if you only surround yourself with like minds, you don't ever reach your full potential. And so having a solid foundation as far as your support systems is instrumental to your success, you know, and whatever you do.
That is so important. I think my mom told me this years ago. If you are the sharpest pencil in the toolbox, eventually you're gonna, get dull because you can't grow, you can't get sharper. And iron sharpens iron. So, she often told me, even if you don't know, just sit there, observe, and eventually you'll catch on to what's happening, what's going on. But you need to surround yourself, of course, with like-minded, but people that are where you want to go.
Exactly.
Surround yourself with those people. And it's not good to talk, just listen.
Because sometimes people see your potential and they, put, different bugs in your ear and tell you about different qualities that maybe you don't see. But if you never surround yourself with any of those people, you'll never know where you can actually go.
Does fear stop us sometimes from moving?
Oh, fear. Fear is the number one thing that stops us from, reaching our purpose. Because what happens, we say fear or anxiety. If we don't try things, then we never know what can happen. But again, you don't reach the places in life that you want to reach if you don't try. So you got to remove fear. You got to eradicate the barriers that's in your life. And, you got to take chances on yourself. One of the things that I've been focusing on a lot now is risking everything for yourself so you can walk in your purpose. And I recently did that, about, 10 days ago. I left, my job, and it was a good job in the context of, this is what society say, but I just wasn't fulfilled. It wasn't purposeful living, and it didn't allow me to impact the people that I wanted to impact. And so through writing and through, therapy and through training other people, I can do all that.
Was that hard to do, to walk in faith?
It was.
To step outside of the box. And I feel some of you that are watching me via social media, and even those that are watching the broadcast, God has been dealing with you to just step out in faith, because where you are, you're in a box. And you said something so powerful. The money is good. The benefits are great. But at the same time, you're not able to feel fulfilled, that passion, that drive. So that's why I asked, was that hard to step out of the box? Because I feel some that are watching, they've been praying and seeking. And when God answers, they still are just stuck. They won't just go. So was that difficult?
For me, it was about a 3 to 4 year journey.
Jesus.
And the people that know me, the most is especially, Terrence. He'll say, I was stuck. I had glue on the bottom of my feet, or I was just stubborn because, I know I needed to move, but fear again, stopped me from moving. The fear of failure, or that fear it wasn't going to be well received. And sometimes you got to remove those barriers. Well, all the time you have to remove those barriers, and then take a chance, and you realize that more people want to hear what you have to offer, and more people need to hear what you have to offer. So it gives you a bigger audience.
This time, what happened this time to ignite to say, you know what, I'm just going to walk. I'm just going to step out. I'm going for it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, what happened this time? Because you said 3 years. You're about to do the 40-year journey like they were going. Move, and I hear that clearly for some of you that are watching me. Just move. Give God something to work with. So what happened this time that you was like, I'm going for it. I'm going for it.
So this time I came back to work off deployment. And I went back to work in May. And about 14 days later, I sent my boss my letter of resignation, and said it was time for me to leave, because I just felt like I was being cornered and I was being boxed in, and I didn't want to be boxed in anymore. And so just being constricted and, being, pushed to do something that I didn't want to do was the reason that I chose to choose myself and go on my own.
Was it a relief?
Oh,
Peace?
it was instant relief and peace. I gotta thank my wife because she supported me throughout this process. And my
Amen.
friends and my parents. But my wife, this was something that was foreign to her too because we've always had that structured environment. This
Right.
is a strict 8 to 5 or 8 to 4,
Mm-hmm.
and that stability and just taking that chance on myself. Okay,
Wow.
well, are we gonna be okay? And she
Mm-hmm.
trusted, me to do this, and so I think that was the last step for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. When you have a covenant mate sent by God, and I've heard you talk about your wife in previous interviews, when it's like she's on board,
Yeah.
I have to move in faith. Oh wow. We're gonna come back after this quick commercial break and even talk about, some other healthy relationship tips that must happen in order for you to find that self-love and that self-peace.
Yeah.
Those that are watching, I know that you're just saying, wow, that message was definitely for me. You've been walking around going through the same thing over and over again. You've been asking God, you've been waiting for a sign. Just do it. I had to step out in faith, move back from North Carolina to start this television show. And it's been 8 years now. And when I returned back home, I had nothing, Kendrick.
Yeah.
I told God, your will, your bill. I don't have the resources. And I kicked and screamed because I did not want to return home. But God, you all know how he's extended my borders. And you know the testimony of losing two sons within 2 months of each other, going through death, depression, and divorce. But God. So I had to move to give God something to work with. So my nugget for you this morning is simply step out and give God something to work with. Now, don't step out if you know he hadn't told you, because you did hear a word from God, right?
I did.
You have to hear a
Yeah.
word from God. I don't want you saying, Tammie, tell us. No, be still and know that I am God. But when he gives you a word, you have to move in season. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's Dwayne Blackman Chevrolet's Tailgate Savings Event going on now. Dwayne Blackman Chevy 2019 Silverado Crew Cabs have 0% financing for 72 months or over $9,000 tailgate savings. Or a 2019 Silverado 2500 HD Crew Cab with over $10,000 in tailgate savings. Selection, service, price. Find new roads to Dwayne Blackman Chevrolet on 1410 South Gloucester in the Medical District of Tupelo. Online all the time at blackmanchevy.com.
Nobody's going to beat our deal.
And there's something about the way your love shines on my face. Oh no, I can never get enough of you. This feeling can't be wrong. I'm about to get my worship on. I'm gonna sing a brand new song. Yeah, I'm about to get my worship on. Take me away on this beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Such a beautiful day.
Hey, we're back, and I simply want to say thank you so much for joining me on today on the Tammie Tubbs Show. Dr. Bailey, I'm telling you, he's knocking it out of the park with how we need to hold on to those healthy relationships and let go of those toxic relationships. Friends, what about your friends? You know what I'm talking about. You already know. Sometimes we have to watch the company that we keep. Is that important?
Oh, definitely. In life, we're gonna shed dead weight, or we're gonna remove people from our lives. It's actually a part of our growth process.
Right.
And at one point we think we're losing, but we actually winning ourselves and gaining more time where we can focus on the things that we actually want to help us prosper.
Right. The fall is about to come. Actually, I think Monday was the
Mhm.
first day of
It was.
autumn. So the leaves are falling, things are changing, and just like natural change, of course, in our relationships, things have to change in
Yes.
order for growth. Is that necessary sometimes to just let it go? How do you know when it's time to end the relationship or just to pull away from certain groups or crowds of people?
For me, when you see yourself being pulled in the wrong direction, the relationships or the interactions that you're having, they're not fulfilling anymore, and sometimes they bring out more negativity in you than reward. And so you have to, actually look at your circle and take inventory of it to see if it's something that's gonna help you grow, or
Right.
if it's something that's gonna help you remain complacent and sometimes digress.
Yeah. October, November, and December have been statistically shown, as most people go into, and I'm sure you know this, state of depression, because those are the holidays, the
Yes.
times where family gatherings and
Yeah.
people are together. And when you don't have healthy relationships, or you don't have family, or you've experienced death of some sort, they go into anxiety, and they also go into what we call the depressive state.
Yes.
What would you say to someone right now, if you look into the camera, what would you say to someone right now that feels themselves going down? You know, they're in a, maybe, I'm not going to say a dead end job, but they're not, you know, happy where they are right now. What would you say to that person?
Definitely, it's important to have somebody that keeps you accountable. But I think, attending, a workshop or a seminar, on, anything that's dealing with mental health,
Right.
or, even trying, therapy to work on yourself is helpful. Or, just being a part of a group.
Right.
One of the things that I wanted to work on for myself is joining a group of men that help, empower other men, to accomplish things, because that's one of the things I think we're missing, especially in the Black community.
Absolutely.
Men don't talk about, relationships. We don't talk about sales, but we don't talk about when we're struggling with things.
Right.
And then sometimes we turn to alternative things to fulfill us when that's just short lived. So I think you need to have the right, foundation and group around you.
Yeah.
And I definitely think, therapy is a good option. Therapy, like I said, is not what you typically see on television.
Amen.
Therapy is actually something is good. It's cathartic. It's something that helps you. It's something that focuses on helping you to facilitate growth. And like I said, be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be the best version of yourself if you don't know who you are.
Right. And you have to tackle those issues. If you have anger issues, if you have anxiety, depression, and I have 3 brothers, and I've watched them grow and develop into great men.
Yes.
But there were some things that they battled internally that they didn't want to talk about,
Yes.
but they had to, because if they didn't, they wouldn't be who they are right now.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that you said you have to surround yourself where you can be vulnerable.
Yes.
You can be vulnerable to say, hey, I'm struggling with pornography. Hey, I'm struggling with drugs. I'm struggling with alcohol. I need help. It's okay. And in the African American community, many times we're told to shh.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this,
Oh, yeah.
but what happens in our house stays in our house. And that can mentally take a toll on when things are going on. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
You know.
Because we're conditioned to not talk about things.
Right.
And for me, one of my struggles, growing up was longing for the attention from my father, and my father wasn't there for me like I wanted to. So
Yeah.
growing up in that single, parent household, learning that that's where I turned to do a lot of the things I did growing up, or as I, was, developing to a young adult. It was only until after I came off my, first deployment, I had to face a lot of the challenges of, the anger and the fear. And that's when I realized that that was the driving force behind a lot of things.
Right.
The lack of connection with people, the lack of being vulnerable. All those things started early on.
Right.
And it just, grew as I got older because I wasn't attending to those issues.
Right.
And so addressing the issue, built, character in me, but it also helped to instruct me on what I needed to take care of.
Right. And that's, phenomenal that you recognize it. I'm off. Something is not right here. So many times we go through the motion and people say, man, you okay? And I'm fine. I'm good. And you're really not. So I want you to speak life to some men specifically right now who may be depressed, may be down on their luck, or just not wanting to deal with childhood issues that are still festering. My dad wasn't there for me. My mom, she was on drugs, because when you hold that in, if you don't deal with it, do you think that it will deal with you?
It will. And a lot of times men, when they're depressed, sometimes it comes out in anger.
Yeah.
It comes out in, extramarital affairs. It comes out in, just being, a different version of themselves.
Right.
Sometimes it comes out in womanizing. But a lot of those things, are, started by them being depressed and not knowing how to manage what they're experiencing.
Absolutely. And not, if you're married, not able to provide for your family financially, because as men, many times, that's the biggest thing. They're providers.
Yes.
If there's a problem, they're the problem solver. And if they don't know what to do, then that causes them sometimes to go into that state of depression or, to shut down.
Yeah, because if I can't provide, then what's my purpose?
Right.
And so that's the questioning themselves. But like I said, once you do the work on yourself and sometimes reach out to, different, methods to get help. Like I said, therapy is a good one. But just going to a group of or a workshop or surrounding yourself with people that want to help you,
Right.
I think that can help. Because my friends told me that I was angry, yeah,
You didn't know it?
but I didn't believe it.
What did they say? What did Terrence say specifically? I'll say, what did Terrence say? He said, man, you're angry. Did you not know it, feel it? Was your blood pressure? What was going on with you?
Well, it came out in the form like if back when it was partying and hanging out and having drinks or so, and he was like, and you just get angry when you start doing this, and
Yeah.
um and I started to take inventory of that, and I realized that there's some truth to it, and so why, and so working on healing self, and then that led me into the profession that I'm in now, and so I used to focus on saving people.
Wow.
Now I focus on helping people heal themselves.
What's the difference?
The difference is I thought I had the power to fix people at first. But the Lord has the power. Only when people are ready to change do they change. And so helping people heal themselves instructs them on how to do it.
And they have to do the work.
And that's the only way to change if you do the work. Because if I'm doing the work, it's me. And I'm not having any effect on the person I'm trying to help.
Wow.
So helping people help themselves is my motto,
Wow.
And I call myself the life doctor now. So
I love that.
focus on helping people be better.
The life doctor. I love that. And you have to live your best life now. When you were, I'm going to say, on the table, going through surgery, dealing with you, what was one of the hardest things to accept that you actually had an issue, or what was that things like, man, that's not me, no, but you knew that you had to do? What was that hardest thing that you had to deal with?
I think acceptance, just knowing that, you weren't who your parents raised you to be, and you've gotten so far away from the person you intended to be. And so doing that self-reflection and evaluation, I think was important. For me, one of my favorite songs is The Man in the Mirror.
Yeah.
But the man in the mirror is instructions. It's telling you to do, a self-reflection, to take inventory of who you are, to make sure what you're putting out, you're actually putting that out.
Absolutely.
And if you're not, then you got to make some changes within yourself. Like I say, it's a cliche, but it's a powerful cliche.
Right.
And a lot of time, people struggle. They have dreams about the man with no face, the man in the mirror. And that takes shape in the form of identity issues.
Right.
You're not who you want to be, and it's because you're getting away from the principles that made you who you were, at the best version of yourself.
Wow. I just hear in the spirit that there's someone that's saying, I wake up, drinking. I go to sleep drinking. I have to take a pill to go to sleep and a pill, in the middle of the day just to be functional.
Yeah.
What advice or words of wisdom would you give that person right now to breathe life back into them?
That you're not out there alone. There's other people that struggle with those same issues. There's people that deal with trauma, depression, anxiety,
Right.
And there's places that you can go to get help, but you have to want the help to get the change that you seek. And you have to be honest with yourself about what you're experiencing. And so, it's being courageous enough, to face what's really happening, and then, finding the places to get the help, but also putting support around yourself. And if you can have support, the times that you want to turn away and quit, those people, keep pushing you, to get better.
Like, God, you confirmed it. It's so much that you confirmed today. I'm forever grateful just for you saying yes and stepping out in faith and walking the journey, because this baby here is going to bless a lot of people. So I pray Godspeed blessings upon you. And I'll tell you this, and you know it, the best is yet to come.
Right.
Many times when you're trusting God and God has told you something to do, it's feeling like you're about to fall off a cliff. There's no B, C, or D agenda. All you know is that God told me to do it, and I'm going to walk out in faith. Your will, your will. And he has provided, he superseded my expectations. And I want to touch and agree with you on today that favor, increase, and provision is about to hit your house. That all you have to do is just simply surrender and say, God, I'll trust you. Wherever you tell me to go, I'll go. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. It's that simple. It may seem like a cliche, but I'm telling you, it will work. It will work, won't it, Dr. Bailey?
Definitely will.
It will work. Trust God and let him be God in your life. I love you. God bless you. And remember, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. It shall come to pass. Until then, be blessed.
Beautiful day.